The Hisense U6SF Pro is $349 at 55 inches, and CNET says it produces picture quality that competes with mini LED sets at twice that price, which means every television in that $500 range has a problem it cannot answer. Getting this wrong means paying $500 for a panel that underperforms a $349 television in the conditions you actually watch in. Before the verdict, one model on this list sits at the top of every major review site's recommendation and has owner data that says walk past it. I will name it specifically before you reach the price tier where most buyers get redirected toward it. Pick one is the Hisense U6SF Pro at $349 on Amazon. This is the 2026 model, currently sitting $150 below its original price in a bracket the market has historically filled with edge-lit panels and no meaningful local dimming. The U6SF Pro is a full-array mini LED panel. That distinction matters more at 55 inches than at 65, because at 55 inches the viewing distance is close enough that backlight uniformity is visible in a way that buyers further back in a larger room sometimes do not notice. CNET reviewed the U6SF Pro and called it a strong budget option with better than expected contrast for its price, noting that full-array backlight and local dimming performance is meaningfully ahead of edge-lit competitors at this price. Artings confirmed the full-array architecture and zone control. At $349, full-array local dimming is not something the market routinely delivers. Edge-lit panels at this price are common. This is not one of them. The insider detail that most buyers miss at this price point: the U6SF Pro ships with Dolby Vision IQ and HDR10+. At $349, that format coverage is not something the market routinely delivers here. On warranty, the U6SF Pro carries a standard 1-year manufacturer's warranty. Hisense's QLED models above it carry a 2-year warranty. That distinction matters in the budget tier, where backlight failures tend to surface in years 2 and 3. Worth noting before a buyer moves up to the U7SG for $50 additional and gains an extra year of coverage. The U6SF Pro runs Fire TV as its smart platform. Fire TV is responsive and supports all major streaming apps, but it is not as fast or as regularly updated as Google TV on the TCL models above. If the television's built-in system is all this household plans to use, the experience is good. If an external stick is already in the setup, the difference is invisible. Owner satisfaction: 4.4 stars across verified Amazon reviews. Consistent praise covers picture quality for the price and the Fire TV interface speed. The most consistent complaint is the remote. Reviewers say it's undersized relative to the television it ships with. The remote does not affect the picture. Know it before purchasing, so it is not the thing that shapes the first impression of an otherwise strong buy. Peak brightness is the floor on this list. In a room with direct afternoon sunlight or overhead lighting that cannot be dimmed, the U6SF Pro will start to struggle before the TVs above it do. The local dimming is genuine and the contrast is real. For a room without a significant ambient light problem, evening viewing, standard lamps, and curtains that close, this is the right television for the budget. For a room that fights the screen every afternoon, start at pick 2. The remote complaint will not change the picture. What will change the picture is the next $50. How far that gap stretches depend entirely on what the room does to the screen between noon and 6. Upgrading or replacing? Drop it below. Subscribe before pick 2. The next model costs $150 more and closes the brightness gap for rooms that fight the screen. That condition is what the next section is about. Before pick 2. The one avoid that belongs at this price tier, not clustered at the end. The Samsung QN70F at $479 is the television that this budget bracket is designed to redirect buyers toward. It carries the Samsung name, has a strong showroom picture, and sits $30 above the U6SF Pro, where the Samsung badge makes the cheaper Hisense look like the lesser purchase. It is not. The QN70F uses quantum matrix technology SLIM, Samsung's term for a reduced-density mini-LED backlight with fewer zones than those in its higher-tier models. Artings confirmed the QN70F delivers lower peak brightness and weaker local dimming than the U6SF Pro in direct backlight comparison. At $479, the buyer is paying $30 more than the Hisense for a panel that underperforms it on the specifications that determine whether HDR content looks the way it was intended. Samsung does not support Dolby Vision on any model. The full breakdown is in the description. Walk past the QN70F at this budget. Pick 2 is the TCL M6K at $498 on Amazon. CNET reviewed the QM6K and called it among the best for picture quality at this price, specifically citing its great black levels. Business Insider named it the best budget 55-inch option in their buying guide. Tom's Guide noted it delivers performance above what the price point typically allows. 3 publications with different testing methodologies that reach the same conclusion about the same model are not coincidental. It is the market telling buyers something the store wall is not. The insider detail. TCL manufactures its own mini-LED panels through its CSOT subsidiary. That vertical integration means the QM6K's local dimming algorithm is tuned specifically for the panel underneath it, not adapted from a third-party specification. In practice, that produces tighter zone transitions. The boundary between a bright area and a dark area is more controlled than on panels where the backlight software and panel hardware came from different companies. The difference shows up most in content with hard contrast edges, a lit window against a dark room, a stadium with floodlights, a streaming title with deep shadow detail. That is content most buyers in this demographic watch every week. The QM6K runs Google TV, which is faster and more consistently updated than the Fire TV on Pick 1. For a household that watches Netflix, Disney Plus, and YouTube through the built-in interface, the platform difference becomes visible after the first month. A television that stops receiving smart platform updates at 18 months becomes a television that needs an external streaming stick to stay current. The QM6K's Google TV track record on the QM series suggests that cost does not apply within the primary ownership window. Owner satisfaction. The QM6K holds a 4.6-star average across verified Amazon reviews. That is the highest on this list. Consistent praise covers the picture quality relative to price and the Google TV platform speed. The most consistent complaint across reviews is VA panel viewing angle, the same caveat that applies to the QM8K. For a centered seating arrangement, this does not come up. For a wide sectional, where viewers sit significantly off-axis, test the angle at the point of purchase. In-store check worth running at Best Buy or Costco. Find the QM6K floor model. Navigate to a dark scene with a bright object, a street lamp at night, a spacecraft against black space. Look at the area immediately surrounding the bright object. A well-controlled local dimming panel keeps that area dark. An edge-lit panel casts the entire surrounding region in a gray hue. On the QM6K, the surrounding area should remain under control. If it glows, the specific unit may have a zone count lower than that of the reviewed model. Check the model number suffix against the QM6K listing on TCL's website before purchasing. Size note: the QM6K is available at 55 and 65 inches. The 55-inch at $498 is the correct choice for rooms with a viewing distance of 6 to 9 feet. If the main seating is more than 9 feet away, the 65-inch is the correct size. Picture quality is identical, and the additional screen area is the difference between a picture that fills the visual field and one that does not. The honest limitation. The QM6K is the entry point of the QM series, not the top. At 55 inches and the viewing distances most buyers use, the practical gap between it and the QM8K is smaller than the price difference suggests. For the buyer whose budget ends near $500, this is the correct 55-inch choice. For the buyer who can extend to the $700 range, the next pick closes that gap. Pick 3 is the Hisense U7SG at $749 on Amazon. This is the 2026 model, and the point on this list where the picture quality starts competing with televisions from 3 years ago that cost twice as much. Ardings measured the U7SG at up to 3,000 nits peak brightness. Tom's Guide placed it in their Best Mini LED category and noted it delivers the kind of brightness that makes HDR content genuinely impactful in rooms that are not fully dark. At 3,000 nits, the U7SG does not lose HDR picture quality in a sunlit room, the way panels below 2,000 nits do. The highlight stays bright. The dark area next to it remains under control. The U7SG carries Dolby Vision IQ, HDR10+, and Google TV. Every major streaming service delivers its best available HDR signal to this screen without falling back. The insider most buyers never calculate before standing in a store. The U7SG at 55 inches is the correct size for any room where the main seat is 6 to 7 feet from the screen. Ardings' viewing distance calculator and THX's reference standard both confirm that at 6 feet, a 55-inch 4K panel fills the recommended viewing field. At 8 feet, the correct size is 65 inches. The practical test. If the main couch is more than 7 feet from the wall, the U7SG 65-inch at approximately $949 is the better purchase for that room. If the viewing distance is within 7 feet, the 55-inch at $749 is not a compromise. It is the correct specification for that geometry. The buyer who steps up to a 65-inch in a 6-foot room is paying $300 more to see a picture the room's viewing geometry will not let them use fully. Owner satisfaction. 4.3 stars on Amazon. Praise concentrates on brightness and the out-of-the-box picture quality. The most consistent complaint is the default picture mode. It is the same calibration issue Hisense carries across the U series. Switch to Cinema Home in settings before first use. That one step is the difference between the television that buyers rate 4 stars and the one they rate 2 stars and return. Which of these picks fits your room? Drop the pick number below. Pick 4 is the LG B50 OLED at $797 on Amazon. This is where the list crosses from backlit into OLED. The gap between everything below this price and what happens on the B5 in a dark room is not subtle. TechRadar named the B5 their best budget OLED TV of 2026. Tom's Guide gave it 5 stars. Ardings scored it highly for mixed usage. Every OLED pixel emits its own light and completely shuts off for black. No backlit panel on this list can replicate that. The result? A dark scene with a bright object produces a picture where the bright object is genuinely bright, and the dark area around it is genuinely dark. Not very dark, not almost black. Black. The candle flame. The star. The screen border during widescreen content. On the B5, those are not backlight challenges. The panel handles them at the pixel level. Hot Hardware called the 55-inch at this price an outstanding value. TechRadar reviewed it and described it as excellent value at its current price point. The insider detail on B5 versus C5 for the 55-inch buyer. Both use OLED panel technology. The B5 uses LG's Alpha 8 processor. The C5 uses the Alpha 9. The difference shows up in upscaling of non-4K content, cable broadcasts, older streaming titles, and standard definition sources. For a household watching primarily native 4K streaming, the processor gap is largely invisible. At $797 versus the C5's higher price at this size, the streaming primary household gets equivalent panel performance for significantly less money. The B5 supports Dolby Vision IQ, HDR10, and HLG. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, 120Hz native panel. LG's WebOS platform is consistently rated the most polished smart TV interface available. Faster app loading and more reliable update history than Hisense's Google TV or Samsung's Tizen at comparable price points. For a buyer who uses the television's built-in platform daily, that distinction is evident within the first week and compounds over the television's life. LG has committed to software support for current OLED models beyond the 18-month window when some competing brands quietly stop. Burn-in risk is real on any OLED. If the television runs a static news ticker, sports score overlay, or game HUD for 6+ hours daily, OLED is the wrong technology at any budget. Buy the U7 SG at $749 instead. For every other household, LG's Pixel Refresh technology addresses the patterns that caused visible burn-in in earlier OLED generations. The risk is managed, not eliminated. Pick 5 is the Samsung QN90F at $997 on Amazon. At 9 o'clock on a winter evening, a lamp placed opposite an uncoated television panel turns a dark film scene into a mirror. The content disappears. The room appears. That specific failure is what $997 is solving with the Samsung QN90F. And if that failure is not happening in your room, this section is the reason to save $200 and buy the B5 instead. Samsung does not support Dolby Vision. The full breakdown is in the description. What Hi-Fi gave the QN90F 5 stars, with strong marks for reflection handling. Tom's Guide tested it in ambient light conditions alongside competing panels, and confirmed that the Samsung held contrast and color accuracy, where both the TCL and Hisense alternatives degraded visibly. The glare-free coating is not a color filter applied to the panel surface. It is an engineered anti-reflection layer that scatters direct light sources rather than absorbing them. In a room with west-facing windows, with overhead lighting left on, or with a lamp placed opposite the screen, the QN90F produces a usable picture in conditions where every other model on this list loses the image. Outside that specific room condition, the $997 price is difficult to justify against the LG B50 LED at $797. Both handle mixed room viewing strongly. The B5 produces a categorically better dark room picture. Neither model has the glare-free coating. If the room does not have a direct reflection problem, the $200 premium over the B5 buys a coating the room will never need. The model most buyers in the $500 to $800 bracket get steered toward by retail staff. This is the reason I teased it at the top. The Hisense U8N at $697 has been at the top of brightness comparisons from RTings and PC Mag, and every major publication has recommended it since launch. The owner data tells a different story. The U8N holds a 4.1 star average on Amazon. That is the lowest of any model in this tier. The pattern in the verified reviews is consistent. Backlight uniformity issues appearing in the first 6 to 12 months, specifically along the bottom edge of the panel in dark scenes. The frequency of this complaint is statistically significant relative to the U7 SG and the QM6K at similar price points. RTing's unit-to-unit consistency testing documented higher variance on the U8N than on the models immediately above and below it. The U8N is a genuinely impressive television in review conditions, with a unit in controlled testing. What changes at month 12 is the unit in a real living room running warm every day. It is the model where the gap between what a reviewer measures in 2 weeks and what an owner experiences at month 18 is the widest on this list. Walk past it. The U7 SG at $749 is a cleaner purchase for $50 more, with better long-term owner satisfaction data, the same Hisense brightness performance without the documented panel variants, and Hisense's 2-year ULED warranty that the U8N tier does not carry. For most buyers with a mixed room and a budget that stops before $1,000, the answer is the TCL QM6K at $498, or the LGB50 LED at $797. The QM6K if the budget stops at $500 and Google TV matters. The B5 is if the room dims for evening viewing, and the dark room picture is the reason the purchase is happening. If the budget stops at $350 and the room is forgiving, the U6 SF Pro at $349 delivers a panel the market has not historically produced at that price. If brightness is the primary requirement at 55 inches and the budget does not reach the B5, the U7 SG at $749, not the U8N. Every model is linked in the description, using Amazon affiliate links at no extra cost to you. That is how this research stays funded. If you are buying before the World Cup, watch the next video. I ranked for sports performance, and 2 of these picks made the cut.